Last week I posted a video all about how to pay off your mortgage early. Here it is. To say it prompted a lot of conversation would be an understatement. So let's address the elephant in the room. Should you pay off your mortgage early or should you invest your money instead? Now, this is a pretty well-trodden topic. I don't care about the math, I just don't want to have a mortgage. Numbers will say invest, but my heart always says no debt. I say pay off the mortgage. Being debt-free is like walking on clouds. It's best to do both, splitting the amount in half. And my personal favourite, if you pay off your mortgage rather than investing instead, you don't your pants every time the Dow Jones falls by 600 or 700 points. The internet, ladies and gentlemen. So let's take a look at the thinking behind this one and see if we can't give this question an answer once and for all. Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is That Finance Show with me, Tom Morgan, a UK-based financial planner and advisor. If you get value from the video, please hit the like button, and we post a new video every week, so consider subscribing. And also, come and join in the fun and give us a follow on Instagram. Now, I've seen some polls recently that seem to suggest that 75% of people would rather invest than pay off their mortgage early. Dave Ramsay, for example, on the other side of the coin, is the most famous example of somebody that says you should pay off your mortgage early. But is this really just a simple case of maths versus emotions? Is it a case of less disposable income now in favour of more in the future? But what about the here and now? The headline question is this: can you make your money work harder by investing than the interest rate you are paying on your mortgage? Interest rates are low. If the rate of return after taxes and fees is more than the rate of interest you're paying on your mortgage, then the maths would say you should invest. The reason that interest tends to be lower on something like a mortgage over credit cards and car finances and other kinds of debt is mainly for two reasons. One, because it's taken over a much longer term, usually 25, 30 years. And secondly, the lender will take security on your house. So in the worst case scenario, if you can't pay the mortgage, they get the house anyway, which they can sell. But the thing is, the house where you live is much, much more than just an investment, especially if, like me, you're raising a family there. Security and peace of mind are a pretty hard thing to put a price on, but does it trump maths? It's hard to put a price on happiness, and happiness means something different to everyone. If your main objective is to clear the mortgage and you know that that will make you happy and give you a huge peace of mind, no matter what maths I show you, then it's simple. You should do it. But in the meantime, I'd like you to meet Stuart. I don't know why Stuart, okay? I just picked Stuart. Stuart is 30 years old. He earns something close to the average UK salary, which is 30,000, let's say, and has recently bought his first home for 300,000. He put down a 10% deposit, so 30,000, which means he's been left with a mortgage of 270,000. He's taken that mortgage out over a 25-year term, is paying 3.2% interest, and his monthly payments are around £1,300 a month. Now, one of Stuart's main objectives is he wants to retire nice and early at age 55, and in order to do that, he needs to be mortgage-free from that point onwards. If Stuart can find an extra 10% of his gross annual salary, i.e. £250 a month, to overpay on the mortgage, he'll save himself £30,000 in interest and actually pay off his mortgage around 5 years, 7 months sooner. So he'll actually pay off that 25-year mortgage in 19 years and 5 months. Now at this point, once he's cleared the mortgage, don't forget, Stuart's disposable income is going to go through the roof. No more is he having to find £250 a month in overpayments, but he's also not even having to find £1,300 for any mortgage payment at all. So let's say that he takes this disposable income, this £1,550 per month, and decides from this point onwards to start investing until his 55th birthday. Stuart does a little bit of research and he finds the most commonly quoted figure when he's trying to find out what the average returns of the stock market are is 9.2%. Now, Stuart is smart, he decides to be pretty conservative, and once taken into account things like taxes and fees that he might pay, he decides to assume an annual return rate of 5% a year. So let's say that he does this every single month for the remaining 5 years and 7 months that he would have had on his mortgage had he have not paid it off early. So where does he get to? Stuart turns 55, he is mortgage free like he wanted to be, and he would be sat on an investment pot of around 122,000, of which around 16,000 would have been in profit or return. And ultimately, don't forget, he has set out what he achieved to do, to be retired at 55 with no mortgage. But now I want you to meet Trevor. Trevor and Stuart. Apparently I can only think of names from about 50 years ago. It's a good job I wasn't in charge of naming the kids. So let's say that Trevor is in exactly the same position as Stuart. All the numbers are identical. But instead of overpaying on his mortgage by £250 a month, Trevor decides to invest that £250 a month instead and let the mortgage run its normal natural course of 25 years. So he's going to invest £250 a month for 25 years, assuming that rate of return of 5%. So where does that get Trevor? Well, Trevor is also now 55, he's paid off his mortgage like he wanted to, but he will be sat on an investment pot of around 150,000, of which £75,000 or so would be his profit or return. So by investing instead of overpaying on the mortgage, the maths wins. Trevor is better off by around £28,000. Well done, Trevor. But interestingly, in my example, don't forget both Trevor and Stuart ultimately achieve their main objective. So what we're talking about here is opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the foregone benefit that would have been derived by an opportunity that wasn't chosen. Or in other words, throwing your money at overpaying on the mortgage means you haven't been able to take advantage of the opportunity of investing that money instead. So essentially that's the maths, but when all is said and done, personal finance is just that, personal. Some things can't really be given a definitive answer with maths alone. I could run 1,000 different versions of that scenario, and I'm sure there'll be different versions in the comments. But ultimately, you'll find that in most scenarios, Trevor wins. The maths wins. But even aside from variables such as investment returns, inflation, interest rates, there are human behaviour variables to think about too. In the example that I just gave you, how likely do you think that Stuart, once he's cleared his mortgage off early, is going to immediately start to invest that new disposable income all into investments regularly each month? Would he really be that disciplined, or would he actually probably treat himself to an all-original 1954 Fender Stratocaster, for example? But like I said, peace of mind and security and happiness is a pretty hard commodity to put a price on. I'm trying to remember an inspirational quote now. Was it Nelson Mandela? No, it might have been, was it Gandhi? No! Of course, I remember. It was Roman Romanowski. If you pay off your mortgage instead of investing, you don't your pants every time the Dow Jones drops 600 or 700 points. Remember, when investing, nothing is guaranteed. When you pay off a debt such as a mortgage, the money that you're saving, the interest that you're saving, is guaranteed. So it's very, very different. But then also, throwing every penny that you've got towards the mortgage can leave a lot of people looking pretty house rich and cash poor. You do not want all of your wealth and your assets just tied up in the family home. Your net worth might look pretty good, but it's not a fat lot of use when the bill arrives in the restaurant. Do you take double glazing? Remember, before even considering overpaying on your mortgage, you need to have cleared your expensive debt first, have an emergency fund in place to cover life's unexpected events, and check with your mortgage lender what the rules are on overpaying so you don't get smashed with big horrible fees. I think it comes down to what kind of person you are. If you're interested in personal finance, investments, numbers, then I think investing is probably calling you. If you hate that kind of thing, can't think of anything worse, and are naturally more conservative by nature, then overpaying on the mortgage might be better suited for you. If you know you will be a disciplined investor and you're capable of riding out the bad times in favour of the good, then investing is probably calling for you. If you know you'll be absolutely terrified and filled with dread at the first sign of any drops in the market, then maybe it's best to stay clear. Compound interest, of course, says that the earlier you start investing, the better. However, how many people have you heard complaining about the fact they paid off their mortgage early? For me, I invest, and I will continue to do so while my mortgage interest rate is below around 5%. Call me Trevor if you like. If rates change and start moving north of 5%, then I will change tactic. But that's me, and I'm not you. And I'm not Trevor either.